May the 20th, 2020. Welcome to TXAPA Live. My name is Jim Warren. I am with TXAPA, and we are extraordinarily glad to have you with us this afternoon. We've got a great program for you, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, what we typically do is a couple things up front. We've got a couple little admin things. Again, thank you and welcome, and thank you guys for joining. This program is being recorded, and you will receive a link later on, since you registered by email, probably tomorrow morning, with a recording of the program that we'd like you to share and send out and disseminate as much and as far as wide as you'd like to. We will be using the GoToWebinar webcam feature only for this program. I'll show you how to maximize that in a second. And we want to take your questions at any time. So if this is what you're seeing on your computer and you just see a little box there, if you double click on that webcam or click in the bottom right hand corner of that should take that webcam full screen, and that's what we'll be looking at today. Again, if you have any questions at any time, please just go ahead and type them in the box right there on the right hand side at the bottom. Make sure you hit the send key, and then we will get it, and I will take a look at it, and we'll get it off, and we'll get your question answered today. So again, thanks for coming. To get to these webinars, if you want to see the rest of them and all the other ones we've done, if you go to our homepage, which is texasasphalt.org, and click right down there in the bottom where it says TXAPA Live, it'll take you to a page that says TXAPA Live, and it'll give you instructions on what we're doing there. And at the bottom of that page, in the little blue text, if you click on that, that'll bring up all the recordings of all the webinars and TXAPA Lives that we've done. So that is a great resource to go ahead and send that out. You can look at it at any time that you want, and there's some really good stuff in there. So again, I'm glad to have everybody, and let's continue on. So again, if you've kind of coming in and out, last month we were doing twice a week, and now that we're into May, we're doing just Thursdays, and moving into June and July and August will be the second, third, and fourth Thursday of every month, a news program, a webinar, and then a technical program each month. And so we're excited about that. We're staying away from having one on the week of the letting, and because everybody's busy, hopefully trying to get some work. So that's the process there. Today's lineup, I'm your host today. I'll be around. I apologize for the face. That's the only one I got. I'll be taking care of the safety share, and then introducing our speaker today, Trenton Clark. He's the president of the Virginia Asphalt Association, a good friend, known Trenton a long time, and we've worked a lot together. So he's a great guy, and we're really pleased to have him here. So let's get started with the safety share. And today's safety share is brought to us by TexasDrivingConcern.org. If you haven't seen this website, you need to go and take a look at it. It is chock full of good information. Today's program is really trying to focus on you being a leader. We want you to share any tips and tricks that you learn relative to safety to all the people around you. You should try to learn something every day, and then try to press that on and push that out. And just remember, promoting safety at work can influence off-the-job behavior as well. And the last one is, promoting safety doesn't have to be painful, it can be fun. And what we've gleaned from the website is there are a couple of different things that they've come up with to kind of make safety a little bit more interesting and keep people's attention. So let's take a look at a couple of those things. One is the ability to go ahead and test your employees on their knowledge of road signs, and there's the website there to bring up this little quiz. Here's a quiz right here. Question on the left-hand side: what does this sign mean? Does it mean slippery when wet? Does it mean watch for snakes? Yeah, that's a pretty good one there. Or does it mean icy road? Well, obviously it should mean slippery when wet. If you pick Watch for snakes. Well, we probably know what part of the country you live in. The next one over there is what do you when you see a yellow sign, what does the color indicate? Is it a regulatory sign? Is it a services sign, or is it a warning sign? Well, what do you think? It's a warning sign. So again, these are little things that you can do at safety meetings, safety briefs, any time that bring up that you can just throw something in there to let people kind of clue back into safety and focus on what's going on there. Here's another thing that they've got is they have got a whole series of posters and prints that you can share on your company bulletin boards. You can copy and paste them into your social media channels. Here's just a couple of them. Don't be a speed demon, a very nice artwork. They've also got a great one on multitasking. I love the quote, your opportunity to screw up more than one thing at a time. I think that's a pretty good way of doing it. So again, a great little thing. They've got a couple video clips. This is a silent looping program that can kind of play in the background in your lobby. At a conference, anywhere you've got a monitor, you can plug this in and let it run. It's an MP3 file or MP3 file, MP4, whatever, that you can play there, and great thing. And the last one, this is thinking big. This is thinking a little bit out of the box. This is a company, again, from the website. This is an oil services company, and what they did is they came up with their own safety video and even came up with their own song. So I'm going to show you just a little clip of that and kind of give you, and then if you want to go download the rest of it. It's a great song. It's a catchy tune. Let's play a little bit of it here for you.
That telephone keeps calling out your name. But if you cause an accident, you'll be the one to blame. So put it down, it can wait. Don't let the road seal your fate. Oh, put it down, it can wait. Just keep that phone away. Drive safe, don't throw your life away. Drive safe, and keep it rolling on.
Pretty catchy little tune. Even my guest is nodding his head. But man, that's stuff you can do, and I cannot believe that whole company got involved in that and had fun with it, and that tune is stuck in their head, and they're having a great time, and they're remembering that, and it's making a difference. So kudos to Helmrich and Payne. You guys did a great job with that. Double click and pull that video down, play the whole thing. There's 3 different vignettes of different things that they're talking about there. Again, great little program. It's on YouTube. You can share it. Awesome little program. So again, be a leader in safety. Take the advantage. Share the stuff that you learn. Take this information out of this webinar. You pass it on to somebody else, and you'll make a difference. So we're just excited to be able to do this kind of stuff. And here we go. Today's speaker today is Trenton Clark. Let's see if I can get this to work. He is the president of the Virginia Asphalt Association. Let's see. There he is. Hello, Trenton. How are you doing today?
Hello, Jim. I'm well. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you. I know it was a little last minute, but Trenton's one of these guys that steps up when you need him to, and he's a great asset to the industry, even though he is from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, right close there to the Mason-Dixon line. But he's a good guy. And Trent, what's that out your back door there?
Well, as you know, with Zoom, you can put any background you want. So this is a picture from behind my house looking up at Shenandoah National Park.
That must be a beautiful sight to see every morning when you come out and you're with your cup of coffee. That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. So, hey, so Trenton's here. Trenton has been taking a big lift representing the state associations on behalf of these pavement designs and pavement programs and stuff. And he's been working with the authors of PaveXpress and has been representing the industry for that. And so Trenton's going to spend a little bit of time today talking about this program and giving us an update and how it works and that. So again, real pleased to have Trenton here. Trent, I'm just going to hand it off to you and let you get going.
That sounds good. Well, good to be here with everybody. We are at least 1 hour ahead of you if you're out in the El Paso area. I know we're 2 hours ahead of you. So it's still early afternoon in Texas. Jim said, got a call last week. Honestly, I've been waiting anxiously on my couch since I found out about TXAPA, waiting for the call.
Oh, come on.
And as I kept waiting and the months went by, I sort of given up hope. I started moping around the house, and then lo and behold, I got a phone call from Harold and Jim last week. And I said, hey, can you help us? And I said, more than happy to. So it's great to be here.
Hey, we got our first question already, Trenton.
All right.
It says, Mr. Clark, are you still driving? Are you still using that driving track at Virginia Tech? This is from Lawrence Cannon.
The smart road at Virginia Tech?
I guess so, yeah.
Still a lot of research going on there. A lot of the research now is being done by tire companies, but there's also surface properties. Virginia Tech uses that for a profiler calibration center.
Very good.
So there's not as much of the true pavement thickness, other than VDOT and VTTI a couple years ago put in a heavy vehicle simulator. So we do have an HVS site that's being used to do some pavement and material research.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, back to you. I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So actually, the timing was perfect for the phone call that I got last week, because if you haven't received an email or something from one of us in the APA world, next week we're going to have our first PaveXpress webinar in a few years, because we're rolling out a new version of PaveXpress. So it's real exciting. You're actually going to get a little bit of a sneak peek today.
Cool.
But more than happy to have you join us next week. We've got about 600 people already joined in from across the country and actually around the world to see what's in this next iteration of PaveXpress.
Are you going to show us later how to get tied into that?
Well, I'm going to give you a little help, yeah.
All right, good deal.
And I'll send you some stuff as well, Jim, that you can share with others that would like to participate.
Well, good deal. Well, if we can go ahead and just tie that to this program so people can find it and keep involved in it. So back to you.
All right. Well, let's first just get my bearings about what people are using today. So I'm going to slide over. There's an app called Slido, and if you just type in sli.do, it'll pull up a website, and your website will be the opportunity to answer a little question on what are you using to do pavement design.
So we've got to just enter that number, right?
24348.
Okay.
So if you type in 24348.
Oh, there it is.
You should see this question. And we'll give you a few seconds and just answer one of those, is the one you think is most accurate and repeatable. Well, obviously we have a biased crowd.
It may take people a couple seconds to log in there.
Oh yeah.
So I get you can leave this open for a while, correct? And then you can.
Yep. And
yeah, that'd be great.
Back to it.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, there's up to 3 now. There we go.
Up to 3.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Well, there we go. There's a smart person.
Up to 5. They're starting to change. None of the above. There we go.
Well, there's a true pavement engineer, so they know.
He's just going out and putting a thumb on it and eyeballing it. Says needs a couple inches. There we go.
You know, kicks the ground, tastes the dirt.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey, thank you everybody for participating. We'll leave this open if you want to weigh in, and Trenton can come on back to it later on as we.
Oh yeah, we'll come back to it to the end.
Cool. But, awesome. Thank you, Trenton.
Always good to see what people think is the most accurate and repeatable design. So let's go on through PaveXpress. So many of you all that may be part of this webinar may have heard of PaveXpress, may have used PaveXpress, but there's some of you that I can guarantee maybe have never heard it or at least played with the application. What you see right now is actually the new screen. So when you go to a website and your home page pops up, this is going to be the new home screen for PaveXpress. And the reason I wanted to include this picture or this screenshot is because this is where we're at today. But like anything, to know how you got here, you got to first look at where you've been. So I'm going to take you through the journey of PaveXpress, where we started back in 2013 as a partnership between the National Asphalt Pavement Association and the State Asphalt Associations. So we got together in 2013 and we began the journey of PaveXpress. So what is it? Quite simply, it's just a free online tool. So many of the tools that have been out there are standalone applications. But this is a tool that you can access right through the web, going to the website and doing pavement design. So you're not downloading an application to your phone, to your iPad, to your tablet, to your desktop. It's all through the web. One of the great things about it, it's free. So there's no charge to use it. We're using industry standards. We're using AASHTO standards for our design purposes. We've continually upgraded the interfaces, as I'll show you as we go through some of the pictures of what some of the original screens look like. You can do mechanistic pavement designs. So that's similar to the TXAPA FPS 21, Pavement ME, if you're familiar with that. The other really nice thing with PaveXpress is it's got very extensive help. So if you're new to pavement design and you want to know what is resilient modulus, you can click on a link that takes you to Pavement Interactive that describes what resilient modulus is. If you want to know how to do a new design, you can click on Pave Instruct. Watch how a new pavement design can be done step by step in PaveXpress, where you can repeat it with your own inputs and at the end have a pavement design.
And that's a really nice feature, adding that in there as well.
It gets a lot of use because we've watched over the last 20, 25 years, pavements gets less and less time of instruction on the academic level, in colleges.
Sure,
yes, you have PTI and you all are blessed with that, and the program you have at UT and out at El Paso. So Texas has some great schools for teaching pavements, but not every state's blessed as Texas is for having those types of schools. So we needed to build in a step-by-step how do you do whatever it may be. And so when you go to PaveXpress, you can go to Pave Instruct and go through a module and actually get a professional development credit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Again, it's another nice thing for engineers.
I think, I'm sure you're going to say it, but I've noticed since you've got started, you guys have never rested on your laurels on this. This thing is continually being improved. You guys are always trying to make it better. And I think that's an awesome thing you guys are working on.
Well, we've never said this is enough. And so there's iteration after iteration, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm glad you brought it up, Jim. The simple question though, back in 2013 was, don't we already have tools to do pavement design? If you look around the country, what was being used in 2013, the AASHTO Pavement Design Guide from 1993 had been sunset. AASHTO had actually already voted and approved to go to the mechanistic empirical pavement design approach. So that 93 guide and the Darwin software that came with it wasn't there anymore. Yes, you could have the manual. Yes, you could go and put in the nomographs into a spreadsheet, but a nice user-friendly tool had gone away unless you had an old version of Darwin and an old laptop that was still running. Once that laptop died, so would Darwin with it. You had manufacturers of different materials would put together pavement design tools. You had different industries and associations that would put together design tools, DOTs. So there are a lot of tools out there, but the biggest one that was coming online at this point was Pavement ME. And AASHTO had paid for it through NCHRP projects. But AASHTO members, as you know, just like Texas is an AASHTO member, they're mainly maintaining interstates and high volume primaries. That secondary system, that farm to market system, those local roads really wasn't the intent of Pavement ME. But if you look at the national mileage, most of the mileage in this country are your secondaries, your farm to market, your locals. So there's still a huge need because there's a lot of pavement work that needs to be done from either new construction or rehab. So we said, yes, we need a tool that others can use that's free and it's reliable and it's unbiased. So we went through a process. We ended up selecting a company, Pavia, out of Seattle, to develop PaveXpress for us. As we evolved it, this is the first version, and this is a screen capture, that opening screen from version 1.0. And 1.0 was straightforward 1993 AASHTO for asphalt pavement design, and we used the 1998 supplement for the concrete design. So if you're familiar with the different manuals, when AASHTO upgraded or updated the concrete in 98, we built those nomographs into the software. 93 already had the asphalt, so there was no changes. But then we also put in a parking lot design approach. For Texas, if Texas has their own parking lot design approach in TXAPA, we just link to it. Most states have what typically works for them, so we just link to it. The only difference was if you had a feeder road coming into the back of a shopping center, that feeder road had trucks, you could do pavement design for that because again, it's treated just like a normal road.
Yeah, but a lot of the parking lot designs were just catalogs of different, not actual calculations, but more just catalogs of certain traffic types, et cetera. Is that correct?
And this worked. So
yeah.
Let's make this our pavement design.
Yep.
And that's what we found. It's really hard to do a national parking lot design approach because what works in Kentucky, works in Texas, what works in Florida is all different. So we just link to that APA that they have it up on their website to use. So we've made a conscious decision not to do any more with parking lots. So as Jim mentioned, once we started, we said, all right, where can we use it? It's new construction. This is an interstate in Northern Virginia. You would think by the number of vehicles on the road, I took it here during the pandemic, but it's not. This had recently been opened up. This is Interstate 66. Generally get pre-pandemic a couple 100,000 vehicles a day. I just seem to have caught it on a good day. But the 93 AASHTO design was used to design this road. It's the same design that's in PaveXpress. While we do new construction, again, we do new concrete. Oh, sorry about that. This is a rubberized concrete job.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was my fault. I'm sorry, but this was you know, a 50-year jointed reinforced that lasted about 8 years, and we left it for 25, and we finally rubberized. But with PaveXpress, we could design that overlay for that rubberized concrete.
Nice.
As we moved on, we went from version 1, but as all of us know, most of our work is on the rehab and overlay design side. We're not doing a whole lot of greenfield projects. So the next version, version 2, focused on including rehab design per chapter 5 of that 93 guide. We made a decision again that we were only going to do the asphalt on top of flexible pavements. There are design procedures in chapter 5 for composite pavement design and even concrete overlays. But we decided, one, none of us had a real comfortable feeling with the accuracy and repeatability of those. And just like parking lots, for asphalt on top of concrete, you find what works and typically repeat it. So again, if you build a concrete pavement originally and now you're having to rehab it, there's typically a standard design, a standard set of mixes that you use. And it's not so much from a structural standpoint, but it's from a functional standpoint that you're trying to address in the rehab. Along the same lines with the concrete overlay, the 93 guide, chapter 5 had unbonded and bonded. Again, there's other tools that are already out there. Others have spent a lot of time and effort perfecting, and we didn't feel it was necessary for us to repeat that. So we left that out as well, and we just basically make a note of it. If you're trying to use this, reference other guides, other approaches. PaveXpress won't handle it. So we went through version 2, and as we were wrapping up version 2, we started talking about what's version 3. And version 3 basically was, we're seeing across a lot of parts of the country a move to more porous pavements. It's being done some areas because of stormwater management. There's other areas. At the time, Southern California was in a severe drought, and there was a lot of discussion of how the groundwater could be recharged. Instead of in the LA area, all the water would go to aqueducts. The aqueducts would just channel it out to the ocean. And there was lots of conversation of replacing traditional pavements, whether they're concrete or asphalt, with structural pavements that could be used to recharge the groundwater. So a TXAPA project went out, and Dr. Hall from University of Arkansas and Dr. Schwartz from the University of Maryland got the project, and they developed us a structural pavement design approach for porous asphalt. So they went through the process, they published their report in TRB. So it is a published report if you'd like to read it, but you can go and now design a roadway that has truck traffic on it with a porous pavement. You have an aggregate reservoir that's needed, and you get that through some hydrologic designs. But once you know how thick your aggregate reservoir needs to be, then it'll iterate and tell you how thick your porous asphalt will be. So it's a really nice upgrade when we went from version 2 to version 3 because of the places it could be applicable.
Absolutely. That sounds great, Trenton. Hey, just a reminder, everybody, if you got any questions at any time, just go ahead and type them in the question box and go ahead and hit send. Back to you, Trenton.
And what Jim's saying, that's code for, nobody has asked a question. Please ask something.
Now, I just got to say it a couple of times, people sometimes just forget. They're so enthralled and listening to what you're saying. They just like,
well, that just makes me just giggly all inside. Thank you for that.
There you go. Hey, that's some good looking asphalt there, buddy.
Yep. So there's what version 2 will allow us to do, and version 3. So that's a porous parking lot on the left that we designed and installed in 2013, still functioning great. Again, up in Northern Virginia. And then on the right is a overlay design for a lower volume primary route out in the rural part of Virginia. But again, that's why version 2 and 3 was needed. While we were doing all this, we were always adding in a little module here, a little module there. Pretty simple cost estimating tool was put in. You put in units, you put in dimensions of a project, and it would give you a rough cost estimate. We built in the pavement analysis, or a mechanistic pavement analysis with EverStress. It's similar to the same tools that are in FPS 21. It's a layered elastic analysis. You put in a pavement structure, you put in material properties, you put in loading information, the type of model that you want to use for fatigue or deformation, and basically it'll tell you how many repetitions to failure at the 50th percentile. So it's a good straightforward way to check a design if you wanted to, either one that came out of the AASHTO 93, or if you had an existing pavement that you wanted to check. So it's quick and easy. With Federal Highways help in their funding, we built in Real Cost, which is Federal Highways LCCA tool. It's a pretty robust tool, but it also is pretty heavy on data. So you have to have a lot of information to run it properly. But that's been built in there, so you could look at not only agency cost, user cost, you could look at probabilities and different distributions and different models to really see what a life cycle cost would be on a project. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we built in PaveXpress, so we have a whole series of models, or modules, I mean, where we went and recorded and built it in that you can go into PaveXpress and actually get some step-by-step instructions. Dave Tim talks about per road. I talk about different functions, whether it's a new construction or overlay. We have another one on real cost. So again, it's a very good tool to learn how to use PaveXpress PaveXpress step by step by step.
It's amazing how far we've come with that stuff. I mean, remember way back when I was a little bit younger and doing a little bit of this kind of stuff, you just got a book, and now you've got computer programs, you've got video instruction. It's making it about as easy as you can with what can be a fairly complicated process. So
yeah, and Jim, one of the things that been debated many times is, have we made it too easy? One of the things we have to recognize is that maybe the purest we have, but from the practitioner standpoint, a lot of the people that, whether it's ourselves or on this webinar, have many different hats that they wear. So it's hard to be an expert in all areas.
That's
you
true.
have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of areas.
Yep.
And so by making it as simple, straightforward, step-by-step as possible, we're trying to help them do their job better, plus provide some more information if they want to go learn more about different parts of pavement design. But that was a real discussion point. But PaveXpress is, we started billing it from the very beginning as pavement design made simple.
Good deal.
So that's what we work to do.
Yeah, good deal.
What was interesting, when we started this whole process, we were trying to identify the user group. First, we thought local government agencies would be a user from the standpoint they needed a tool. They're not going to license Pavement ME. If they were using Darwin, it's been sunset. So they would need a tool to do their pavement designs, their rehabs. Architectural engineering companies would probably need a tool because they typically work for a lot of these local government agencies as their engineering firm. So they would be a user. We were very cognizant that we wanted to have something that engineering students could at least learn more about pavement design at very little cost. And by being free, it can't be any better. So we wanted engineering students, academia, and we have quite a few on the academic side now using it because of the robustness, the flexibility, and it's free. And then as time went on, we started looking at who was logging into the app. And we saw more and more state DOTs become users of PaveXpress, whether it was to do the design, which some states like the state of Washington, I think West Virginia recognizes it, Virginia recognizes it. So there's states that recognize it as a design tool, and some take it even further and say, you'll use this tool. But they're on there checking other designs. So if they're using Pavement ME or another tool, maybe an in-state tool that they've developed. Transportation agencies, their employees were logging on and using it. So that sort of caught us off guard because it was the top 3 that we were really focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw Federal Highway was using it. What? Just we were happily surprised to see the number of Federal Highway.
Yeah, Coach, you know what? We stumbled on this something. We focused on.
Whoops. We just lost your audio, Trenton.
Pardon?
Your audio just fell out. Keep trying.
Didn't hear him.
There we go. There we go. You're back.
I haven't gone anywhere. Obviously, as you can tell, because you can see my face.
That's right.
But again, the first 3 is who our primary focus was. State agencies surprised us happily. Federal Highway surprised us. And then we see more and more foreign companies and foreign governments using PaveXpress. So again, over time, what we thought was going to be our target audience really expanded. So it also got us thinking about the future. Just if you're curious, Texas is not number 1. Please don't start a revolt, but you can be number 1 by getting your friends and your friends' friends and everybody else to use it. And then you can overcome the state of California and Washington.
Yeah, we're beating Virginia, though.
We're number 7. We're a little bitty state. We're a third the population of Texas. So if you multiply ours by 3,
Okay.
Texas is what? Don't mess with me.
All right.
Warren. I wrote all these comebacks down.
All right. Not bad.
But not only we're in every state, we're in 184 countries. So as this has gone, this map has continued to fill in. Now we've yet to penetrate Greenland. For some reason, Greenland, which is an autonomous country as part of Denmark, they have not decided to use it. And we still have to get into Central and Western Africa.
Keep the hope alive.
There is time, and I think we'll start making even more progress. But just to show you the number of countries, there's about 58,000 individual users of PaveXpress.
That's pretty impressive.
Now, I don't want to brag, but I will. We're number 1. Nobody else has that much use in a software tool. Can't be. I can't verify it, I can't validate it, but I'll say it. We're number 1. So as you mentioned, Jim, we've constantly been looking at ways to improve and advance the system. A lot of the initial versions 1, 2, and 3 was all because we had internal conversations of what would be nice. Step 1, new design. All right. Step 2, overlay design. Step 3, structural porous pavements. So that laid out those first 3 versions that came out by the end of 2017. And then we decided, let's ask the users. Let's don't be pompous and arrogant and think we know all the answers. Let's ask the users what they like, what they don't like, what they'd like to see changed. And so we went out with a survey. Maybe a few of you on this webinar participated, but we asked. And so we've made some adjustments to the software, but we also said, what's the next set of enhancements? And you'd always get, something that was specific for one project in one area of the country. So we looked at common themes, and one of the things we saw was metric. As I showed you, there's 184 countries using this software. There are about 38% of our users are coming from countries that are metric, so they're SI. So metric was a common response. They said real cost is a great tool, but it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We need something more simple, something that we can do, whether it's at a state agency or a local agency, to do life cycle costs. So we need something simple and straightforward. And then we need a mechanistic empirical pavement design tool, because you got to remember, people, all they've heard is Pavement ME, ASHTO.
Mm-hmm.
And so over and over that came back, and we said, well, we have a tool per road standalone. Napa spent a lot of money on it over the years, since about 2001. It's continued to advance. And we said, you know, we have the tool, paid for the development. What would it take to get it into PaveXpress? And it's not just as simple as drag and drop. A lot of recoding had to be done to make it work. Those were three things that people asked for. So what are our recent enhancements? So maybe like a road in Texas, if you're looking at left or that right lane, northbound, that's all truck traffic. This is a section of Interstate 81 in the northern Shenandoah Valley that has about 40% truck traffic. Main corridor up and down the East Coast. A lot of the trucks headed south will hit I-40 and make their way down into the deep south. We needed to be able to do pavement designs to accommodate traffic and loadings that 93 AASHTO really wasn't designed for back in the late 50s and early 60s with the AASHTO road test. So again, you all are getting sneak peek. Most people won't get to see these slides until next week when we do the national webinar. But this is how we have moved from a single app in version 1 to a full suite of capability within PaveXpress. So here you can see we got a design, so we can do 93 and 98 AASHTO design. We have the life cycle cost, which is the real cost module. We have the simplified LCCA with the agency cost. And then that last tab is per road. So we took the per road program and now have embedded it into PaveXpress.
That's impressive. That's one-stop shopping there, baby.
You can get everything you want. This is like a super Walmart. If any of you all are familiar with how PaveXpress works, it's a step 1, step 2, step 3. So maybe you can see on the screen, you can put in your scenario information. So you talk about what the project is, you put in your design parameters, your reliabilities, your standard deviations. You look at your traffic and your loading. So what are your design easels? You can put in a pavement structure. So what PaveXpress does, it says you set, you know, most of us have a standard aggregate base layer thickness or cement treated aggregate layer thickness, 6 or 8 inches. It's pretty much standard. We're not figuring, oh, it's really 6.5 or 8 1/4. We're using 8 inches. We have a standard surface thickness. Could be 1.5 inches, it could be 1 inch, it could be 2. But that's pretty standard across the country. Same with that intermediate and that binder layer. It's not until you get into that base layer that you're really trying to figure out how thick does it need to be. So that's how PaveXpress works, is that you set the bottom, you set the top, and then in the middle, that base asphalt thickness is iterated on until it satisfies the structural number required.
Gotcha.
So it's a really step-by-step approach, pretty quick and simple.
Good deal.
So that's not changed. That's the same functionality as the previous versions, just a different look. Here's just to give you an idea of some of the per road. Same scenario information. You put in traffic data, you put in layer structure, so the material type, what PG grade you're using, what Poisson's ratio you'll use. You can put in elastic modulus. You can put in basically like the same information that is in your master curves if you're an asphalt materials person. But again, step by step, you run a Monte Carlo simulation at the end to give you very good confidence on your strain distribution throughout the pavement structure. So that's new, and that'll be rolled out in the webinar that we'll host in July. The agency cost, this is really cool because you can look at a single scenario. So if I build a 8-inch pavement today, and I expect the surface to last 20 years, and at year 20, I'm going to do a 1.5 inch mill and replace, and now that overlay will last 15 years, and out at year 35, maybe I'll do a little more aggressive. I'll take off 3.5 inches and put it back and look at it over 40, 50, 60 year analysis cycle. You can see what your net present value of that scenario is, or you may want to compare 3 or 4 different alternatives to see overall what gives you the lowest net present value. It's all user defined. It's all things that you'll put in. You know, you can look at a mill and fill versus a reconstruct, and through those scenarios, you can see really what is the most economical for that project. Keeping in mind, whatever you start with, you got to be able to pay for. So sometimes that most expensive alternative may be great, you just may not have the money to do it. So it allows you as an owner or as an owner's representative to really say what fundings are available. If I have this funds, what does it look like over 40, 50, 60 years? To turn it over to those decision makers to say, hey, we'll provide some more funds, or this is all that we've got. This is what we expect throughout the life. Again, this webinar that we'll have that will go through a step-by-step will be in June. So again, take time and register for that one. And with that, Jim, I think I've eaten up a lot of your time. I wanted to show all the different things. So if there's any questions that have come in, feel free to shoot them my way.
Okay, why don't you switch back to full screen while I take that. I guess I had a question for you. Since you've been involved in it kind of from the beginning, what's been the single biggest thing from your perspective that you've got out of this? Is there one takeaway or one item?
I think the thing that I take away more than anything, and it surprised me, is the thirst out there for a simple to use pavement design tool. I've done this since I graduated 27 years ago from Virginia Tech.
So you're starting to get old.
God, I know it. I'm almost looking as old as you. But to think about, I've done pavements my whole career. Stumbled into this because when I graduated in '93, if you think that far back, we were in a recession then. Nobody was hiring. I ended up getting hired with a company called Law Engineering, which used to be all across Texas. I think they're part of Wood now. But, you know, our pavement design then was Darwin. Over the years, I didn't give a whole lot of thought. There's just a few tools, but it wasn't until I saw when we released PaveXpress version 1 back about 2014, how many people needed that type of tool.
Mm.
That was my biggest surprise. People have not been, what's the right word? They haven't been bashful in telling us what they thought. They provided some great input. So I think it's that interaction from the number of users and what they've asked for has been the biggest thing that I've taken away in the last 7 years of this project.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I just wanted to ask you a question. You mentioned you had some porous paving, parking and roads. How is that caught on in Virginia? Is it still kind of light, or is there certain areas it's taken off in, or?
The challenge for porous parking lots and pavements is when we get into our urban areas. In our urban areas, the localities don't want stormwater dumped into their closed wastewater treatment systems. They're not built and have the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, you know, like the state you came from, Florida, with all these little ponds for stormwater retention.
Yep.
We've got stormwater retention ponds everywhere, but where they're at in the urban areas is very expensive real estate.
Yeah, I was going to say it eats up a lot of land. It eats up a lot of land.
So we can do stormwater management by going down versus buying another parcel of land to store water on. So we're seeing it from that standpoint. Big push from the environmental side and the ability for the porous pavement to clean the stormwater. So this had a lot of advantages. So we're seeing it more in our urban areas, more to the eastern part of the state, but it is continuing to expand because it just pops up. Usually it's on private work, not so much on the DOT side, but it's a developer, somebody that's putting in, a box store. They need the credits. They don't have the room to put a pond, that we end up seeing it installed.
Sure. Just another question came to mind. Are there any drawbacks to the whole pavement ME process? Are there any things that are just like not quite ready yet, or are we ready for that, or are there some issues there?
Pavement ME's been a work in progress. I had the pleasure when I worked for VDOT to be on the Darwin task force for ASHA. So I was, love me or hate me, I was one of the ones that said it's time to sunset Darwin from the standpoint that we were moving forward. So
You're to blame.
ASHA wasn't going to maintain 2 pieces of software.
Right.
I've had opportunities to serve with somebody from TxDOT on there and from a lot of other states. Does Pavement ME have issues? Not as many as it once was. It still has models that's trying to be improved, whether it's rutting models or cracking models, top down. There's things on the concrete side. So with a tool such as that, it's very model data intense. So it takes a lot of information to run it well. It takes a lot of calibration. You have to calibrate it.
That was going to be one of my questions is, I know a lot of states have spent a lot of money trying to calibrate their materials to this program.
And again, think about from a pavement design standpoint, overall, we're trying to design thickness.
Mm-hmm.
There's been work done that shows what the impacts are of the master curves on the thickness, and it has a little bit. If we get the thickness right, I think we have a pretty good handle on what materials to use. Is it an SMA surface? Is it a polymer modified binder layer? Is it a rich bottom base? We got pretty good handles on that. It's making sure it's a pavement is thick enough to never fail from bottom up, but not so thick that we're wasting money. So it's trying to find how thick is thick enough and then stopping.
Yeah.
You can build it thick, but if it's not doing you any good or any benefit, don't waste the taxpayers' money. Another project could use those funds.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Did get a question. When's the webinar again? And where do you go? Is that through NAPA? Is that through asphaltpavement.org?
You can go to the NAPA website and register. These are all free webinars. So you just go on there and register. The first one is next Wednesday, May 27th. It's at 1 o'clock Eastern, so it's 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain Time. You all got Mountain Time as well. So you can register on there through NAPA's website. The first webinar that we'll be doing is basically an overview of what we've just done. There'll be a few more screen captures. George White with Pavia will go through, but that is the first one. The one in June, well, again, you can register for. It'll be on LCCA, the agency module.
Okay.
And then the last one will be on Per Road at the end, and that'll be in July.
Good deal.
July 9th.
Good deal. Good deal.
When you get to this application, just go to PaveXpress.com.
Okay.
And just type in PaveXpress.com and you can get on to log in. If you've never been in, that just asks you to sign in, give a few pertinent information, then it'll take you right into the application. The one thing you'll see is the one you check into this week will look different next week as we're continuing to roll out the enhancements.
Good deal. Good deal. If you want information on those other webinars, just Google National Asphalt Pavement Association, or it's asphaltpavement.com or org. Easy for me to say. Hey, that's all the questions I had. Trenton, hey, really appreciated your time today. Thank you for coming on, for sharing this information. Some really good stuff there. I mean, I'm just really impressed with it every time I see it. I don't do pavement designs, but when I go in and take a look at what you guys have done, I mean, there's some awesome stuff in there. And and even if you're using something else, I think you mentioned earlier, using this as a check, just to give you a reference check to say, hey, I got 10 inches in, what did you get? If I got 50 and you got 10, well, there's probably a problem somewhere. I messed a number up, but and I think that may be some of the value if you're not using it exactly, but a great opportunity again to tie into some awesome technology, some awesome training, instruction, background if you want to learn some more. And we're oops, no, there we go. We're back up to the Slido. At
results
14. That's not bad for a survey. I will say we had over 60 some odd people, so that's 20% of the people participated. So that's not bad at all. So we'll take it. So again, big thanks, Trenton. Get out of that. Get over there. There we go.
Right.
Pardon?
Appreciate it, Jim.
Hey, thanks for coming on today. Big thanks for everybody for participating today. Remember, you'll get an email with the link of the presentation probably tomorrow morning. And again, just so glad to have you. Anytime, if you got an idea, something that you want us to cover, please give us a shout. You can contact me. You can contact Emily, Chuck, Harold, anybody here at TXAPA. Well, we're here about trying to serve and get the information out. So until next time, be safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and make safety a little bit more fun and be safe. God bless. Take care. Thanks for showing up today. Thank you.